Hello and welcome to this interview here on Paathshaala. Joining me today is Kundan Shahi, who is an entrepreneur who is working at the cusp of providing legal services and funding them. Let's try and understand this fascinating space that Kundan is seeking to make his mark in. He has been an entrepreneur as well as a legal mind. And therefore, we all know that, the judicial process in our country can cost anyone a lot of money, and therefore, many people prefer not to go down that path. So let's see and understand what Kundan is trying to do to solve that problem. Kundan, first up, what is legal pay all about? What is the problem you're seeking to solve?
Sure. So thank you so much, Vivek ji. Thank you for giving us this space. First of all, legal pay. We are not into legal services at all, right? Because we are not a law firm, so we cannot provide
Yeah.
that kind of services. So legal pay is a litigation finance company. So we are actually solving legal expense problem in India. Uh, in India, people in businesses. We spend around roughly three lakh crore every year as legal expense, right? And unlike USA, UK, or other countries, lawyers can work on contingency, wherein their fees aligned to the outcome of the case. In India, it is not possible. Bar Council prohibits lawyers to engage in such arrangements. So it adds pressure on litigants, and there is no formal way to support or fund their cause. And we don't have legal insurance as well for the masses. So these all expenses for anyone in India is 100% out of pocket expense. So what we are actually trying to do is we are actually helping them transfer their financial burden of litigations to legal pay. And we pitch in, we take care of all legal expenses, whether it is court fee, lawyer's fee, or any kind of expenses related to litigations, right? And it is 100% non-recourse arrangement, which means they or we will only make money when we will win. If we lose the case, we won't make any money.
So you're saying that if the client wins the case, whatever is the amount that is to be, that comes to the client actually goes to you.
So hypothetically, if we if there is a claim value of 100 rupees, legal pay will invest around 5 rupees, right? That's the legal expense in India. In USA or UK, the legal expense ratio is around 1 to 10. So if claim value is $100, legal expense will be around 10. In India, it is slightly lower. So we spend around 4 to 6. So if the claim value is 100 rupees, legal pay will invest 5, and based on the stage of the case. So there is a possibility that we are coming very early, right?
Hmm.
And the
Hmm.
case may take 3 to 5 years time. There could be another situation where we are coming at the stage of executions, right? So then our investment cycle will be slightly shorter. It will not be for 3 to 5 years, but at least for 2 years and more than 2 years in India, right? So if you are spending 5 rupees in a 100 rupees claim, we will be making around 15 to 20 rupees, and rest 80% will go to the litigants.
You mentioned 3 to 5 years, but in India, if I'm not mistaken, the average civil case can go on for 17 years, the average. So the proceedings, or has it improved? Are you seeing at least corporate cases? Because both the government and the judiciary has been insisting that where there is an economic potential loss, this needs to be expedited. But are you seeing that change happening since you're dealing with so many clients?
Yes, absolutely. For a business model like us, right, timeline is a very critical factor, right? Because we are actually measuring our success in IRR, right? So timeline is a critical factor. So there is a perception about being our judicial system very sluggish. I know the Tariq pe Tariq dialogue has actually created that kind of dent. and any normal or any layman can actually relate to that code takes time. But if we look at the data says a different kind of things, right? And we normally compare ourselves with USA. In USA, a civil case takes around 29 months. I'm talking pre-COVID, right? To get disposed of. In India, many high courts, or the most of the high courts, their average pendency rate is around 36 months. Obviously, like High Court of Rajasthan, right, or High Court of Allahabad, or Bangalore High Court. These high courts may take more time, but if you look at the Delhi High Court or the Bombay High Court or some south some northeast part of High Court, right, they have slightly better turnaround time, right. And since legal pay is just focusing on the commercial cases, right, this government brought an amendment in 2015 which kind of limits that in a lifespan of a commercial case you can just take three adjournment, right? So people are very clear that there is only three adjournment we can take, right? So we have seen the improvement. We have seen the timeline improvement in timeline, right? And we can comfortably predict a case with a commercial nature may get settled, may get disposed of in around 3 to 4 years, right?
And when you provide the funding, there is no interest element, if I understand rightly. I mean, the way you structure your agreement is that when there is an outcome, you will get a little more than what the legal fee would have normally been. That's your model.
Yeah, I mean, slightly. So the first, I mean, just to answer the first part, right? Obviously, it is not a lending, so there is no interest element. It is pure. We are taking a risk, right, and kind of underwriting the outcome of the case. That uh, the legal merit is so solid, right? The financial perspective is so solid or so sound that opposite party will not become insolvent, right? By the time we get the judgment, the final judgment, right? And lawyers who is representing the case is capable enough to actually pull this off. And fourth is the timeline, right? That it should be around 3 years plus minus, right? Few years, right? So it is not a lending. So people or the businesses, they don't have to pay us back if they don't win, right? And we are structured in a way that businesses think that they will be spending those money from their working capital, right? So it is better to offload their financial risk. What if they lose, right? They are actually losing their money. So it is better to manage from a very structure focused company who can actually put their own money, and our interests and businesses interests are very much aligned because we only make money when they will make money.
And what kind of cases do you take up? I mean, there is a wide range of corporate litigation. Uh, do you cover all of it, or is there a certain specific kind of cases that you take?
Sure, sure. Thank you. Great question. So we help with all types of commercial dispute. It could be due to an SME is struggling to fund their legal merit against a very large corporate. We ensure that they get a level playing field, and cases should be decided on the legal merit, and it should not be decided which party has a deeper pocket. So primarily, the general case portfolio which we have is contract disputes, shareholder disputes, invoice related disputes, IP related cross border arbitrations, right?
What about cases that are before tribunals, like say, competition law or securities market law, those kind of
See, I
cases?
mean, securities market law, obviously, we have been engaging with that kind of clientele, but competition, we are yet to see that kind of request being underwritten. Even if we have underwritten, probably we are not very sure to go ahead with that, right? But tribunal cases, obviously, from the armed force tribunal cases, right, we getting that kind of cases as well, right? So, I mean, we are all where there is any kind of financial perspective is aligned.
What is the I mean, you mentioned SMEs. So, should one assume that your target is more of the small and medium businesses for whom the legal expense becomes very difficult? Because obviously, the larger corporates would all have their own legal teams and it's fine for them. Is that your target audience?
See, primarily when we started litigation finance in India, right, our learning was that it is for the level playing field, right? We will actually empower these small businesses to pursue or enforce their right? So capital should not be a constraint. But based on our learning that since litigation finance has been mainstream in West, UK and US, so the smart CFOs and general counsel, they got to know about this concept, right? And they think that this is a great way to offload their financial risk. So
Hmm,
initially, it was primarily for the cash-starved companies or the smaller businesses. But in our portfolio, we are actually kind of there are multiple unicorns, there are multiple listed companies as well. So it is for them, it is just a financial engineering, and they want to just offload, right?
hmm. Do you also take on individuals?
See, our focus has been business to business, but obviously, if one party has to be business, individual versus business, right? We can actually underwrite those kind of cases, right?
Can it be individual against government? You mentioned armed forces tribunal, that would
Yeah,
typically
I mean
be.
some part of right.
And what is is there a threshold up to which you step in terms of the amount?
Okay, so initially when I started in 2019, 2020, and then COVID happened, right? So in 2021, when we kind of resumed our operation, our threshold was around 50 lakhs. 50 lakhs worth of cash, right? Should be there to actually apply for the funding. But we are also learning from the market, right? We are also learning from the customer base, right? Primarily the enterprises, right? So they have portfolio of cases. The portfolio of cases could vary from few lakhs to few crores, right?
Hmm.
So then we also tweaked our model, right? And when we go for the portfolio financing, there is no limit. I mean, obviously there is upper limit, right? But from the I mean a smaller ticket size, there is no limit, right? Because we if we are actually getting into or we are actually partnering with them, we want to take care of everything.
And do you have a team of lawyers in house who represent in court, or do you hire lawyers, or how are you building that ecosystem?
So we are a passive investor, right? So we don't represent our client, right? Or this is something which we do through the partner law firms, or the client may have their own lawyers, right? So we have the legal team who are actually only responsible for underwriting or making that decision that we should be investing in that portfolio or not, right?
Hmm.
So they decide on the legal merit and some kind of contract discussions, right? Just to ensure that both parties are secured,
Hmm.
but representation is primarily with the law firms or the lawyers, right? So lawyers actually they kind of send those cases to us. So for a law firm, we are working like a Bajaj FinServ inside a Chroma center, right? For example, Bajaj FinServ may help Chroma to sell more mobile phones on point of sale. Similarly, LegalPay actually help our law firm partners to generate more revenue because some of them may drop that case, may not start, or there is a payment delay in payment, right? So they kind of transfer those client to us, and we kind of take care of legal expenses. So law firm gets regular payment timely.
Do you also fund arbitration? Because again, it's at a very nascent stage in India, but is increasingly becoming popular. Do you facilitate mediation, fund mediation and arbitration?
Absolutely. We encourage all kind of alternative dispute resolutions, right? Because it has faster resolution time, right? At least the perceived faster resolution time, right? So we do fund arbitrations in India and outside India.
One final question, Kundan. What, according to you, on the basis of the cases that you've taken up or funded, uh, is the biggest pain point in terms of litigation for the smaller and medium business enterprises?
See, businesses they want to pursue or they want to focus on their primary things, right? Their core competency is to run the business, right? So they want to act they don't want to invest their capital to pursue litigations because they can generate more money by investing those capital into meaningful things, right? Litigation is a prolonged investment, right? And whether they are not sure if they will win or not, right? So for businesses, they just want to offload the financial risk. So unlike USA, UK, where a law firm can work on the contingency based fee, so small
No,
businesses
that
are very
that part I understood. I am asking you that what is the biggest pain point in terms of the cases that small and medium businesses are actually ending up litigating and coming to you for funding?
so. I mean, if just to clarify, are you asking that what we do or
No, no, no,
what
no.
kind of cases we get?
I'm asking you, what are the, you mentioned there are contract cases, X, Y, Z. But when it comes to small and medium businesses, what is the biggest number of kind of cases that are being going to
See,
court and they are
I mean,
coming to you for?
See, it is primarily some kind of invoice related disputes, right? Account receivables kind of disputes, right? They're actually working with one of the biggest firm, and they're not actually getting paid on time. So this is one of the cash flow issues for them, right? So they kind of come to us and they want to file cases and they want to pay for the court fee, and we kind of take care of those kind of expenses.
Wonderful talking to you, Kundan. Thank you very much for coming by and sharing your perspective. I do hope that you're able to provide the funding for seeking justice to many, many more enterprises in this country, small and medium businesses who don't have recourse to that capital. All the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vivek ji, and happy Diwali. Thank you.
Happy Diwali to you too.